enlightenment, and especially in Islam. I plead, since I am a Jew and I am a friend of Israel, but I plead since decades for not only the possibility, but for the probability of an age of enlightenment in Islam. I say and I repeat since ages, when I was in Afghanistan, when I was in Pakistan, when I was in Algeria 10 years ago, in the most dark moment of the history of Algeria, when the Islamist commandos killed and raped the woman and the babies, I said that these obscurantist, fundamentalist and fanatics movements were the past. It was a past who took time to die, of course, and in the process of dying killed a lot, but that the future is an age of enlightenment. We are at this point. The enlightenment begins today in the Arab world, and then everything is possible. Democracy, peace, new relationship with Europe, new relationship with Israel, peace, and not only with Egypt, and so on. And I'm so happy of what is happening.
Well, Mr. Levy, while I have you a couple of minutes left, I want to, of course, you have your fans and you have your critics. I want to put one email that came in from a viewer that is critical and give you a chance to address it. It's from Amin Yusen, who wrote in saying, Mr. Levy is a guided missile at the hands of Israel's diplomatic apparatus, nothing more than a French version of AIPAC. After his activities on Iran's, quote, thirst for democracy, his involvement in Libya is deeply troubling. I wonder, when you face this kind of criticism about what your involvement is, how do you address that?
Number one, wrong information. If I am close to something, it is not to AIPAC, it is to J Street, because I am one of the founders of the French equivalent of J Street, which is J Cole. This is a point of information, but you are not obliged to know. I tell it to you. I am the agent of nobody. I am the agent of no diplomacy. I am a writer, a free spirit, and I am the agent of myself and what I believe to be the right and the truth. And sometimes, as these days, coming back from Libya, I feel, and it is for me a great honor, and a great honor. I feel the emissary of some women and men who allowed me to be the witness of their suffering, of their hope, and of their fight. And my only goal these days, when I met Nicolas Sarkozy 2 days ago, and I meet you today, when I meet you today, is to transmit, is to convey this message which I collected on the ground in Libya. This is the only way in which I allow myself to be an emissary. Of a diplomacy, never. Of a suffering, battling and resisting people, often. And in this case, Libya, of course.
Let me get one
Gaddafi
question.
Must, as we say in France, dégage. Dégage. Go away, Gaddafi, as the Tunisians said to Ben Ali.
Well, Bernard-Henri Lévy, thank you very much for joining us. It was good to spend the time talking with you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. Now, remember, you can follow our program on Twitter. We'll keep you notified of upcoming shows, and you can send us questions and comments to pose to our guests. On the next show, the ripples of revolution. What chance is there that the Arab uprisings will trigger a thirst for greater freedoms in countries such as China, Cuba, and Myanmar? Be sure to tune in for that. From me and the team, we'll see you next time.
I felt like our family was a litter. There's always the runt in the family. I just thought, gosh, I'm the one that's not going to have anything.
I was always taking unpopular positions, that made me a lot of enemies too.
I was swearing and smoking, but I don't consider that a bad attitude. I was just a punk. I was a kid.
Their lives, in their words, Riz Khan discovers the person behind the personality. One-on-one at this time on Al Jazeera.
Business Latest is brought to you by Qatar Gas, delivering energy to the world. Business Latest is brought to you by Qatar Gas, delivering energy to the world.
From the ancient traditions of the written word to the power of photography and expressions of identity through dance, art is a constant feature of the human landscape. An underground theater group fights for democracy. Blind musicians make their mark in Bangladesh. Palestinian teenagers develop a photography project with kids from the other side of the wall. Across the world, art transcends physical barriers. Artscape, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Libyan rebels retreat from the oil port of Ras Lanuf, pushed back by the firepower of Muammar Gaddafi's forces. New reports coming in from Ras Lanuf that Gaddafi's forces are continuing to clash with rebels in the port. It's 0500 GMT. Hello, I'm Laura Kyle. This is Al Jazeera live from Doha.
This is our country. We will never ever give up, and we will never ever surrender.
The Libyan leader's son warns of an all-out assault to crush rebel fighters. Police in Saudi open fire to disperse protesters there ahead of a so-called Day of Rage on Friday. And victory for Ivory Coast Alassane Ouattara. The African Union backs him as the legal winner of November's election. Developing news coming out of Libya, where there are reports that forces loyal to Muammar Gaddafi have renewed their assault against opposition fighters in the oil port of Ras Lanuf. Increasingly, the rebels' hold on Libyan cities is being eroded as the government accelerates its onslaught. The sense of security the opposition fighters had is now being challenged in earnest. In Az-Zawiya, the closest city to the capital, Tripoli, pro-Gaddafi forces appear to have regained control. And in Brega, fighters report multiple airstrikes by government forces. The hospital there filling with the wounded.